Good morning and welcome to another episode of Dale's Dinosaurs, where we review a Mattel dinosaur every Friday, and then in the second half of the video talk about what we know about the actual dinosaur. Thank you for my growing list of subs. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on your weekly dose of dinosaur. Today we're reviewing the Mattel Hammond collection Carnotaurus. It comes in this beautiful adult style box that I will just spin both ways so we can actually see no reflection on Carno there, no reflection on Carno there. It makes a great display for those collectors who prefer to keep their figures mint in box. We can still see the figure through the window, and on the back of the box we can see the figure posed here. We can also see the little eye detail and the other figures that came out in this same wave. As you know, I don't like to keep my figures in their boxes. Let's just pose it that way. So let's rip her open. Now that we have Carnotaurus out of its box, we can get a better visual of the sculpt, the articulation, and the paint apps. The sculpt's okay. It's not too bad. I mean, like Carnotaurus, I do believe should have been maybe a more slighter sculpt, but you know, it's pretty good. I think what we really get to appreciate from these Hammond collection figures is the articulation. The articulation is really the selling point for me. It is less toy-like. You don't get the growl and all those sorts of action features, but you get posability. A quick readjustment there. We've got a few different articulation points in the legs here, and also a couple in the arms, these vestigial arms. We've also got I'll go straight to the neck. We've got a couple in the neck as well as the actual head itself. The mouth obviously opens and shuts, which is very important for our posing. And just for those who are doing dinosaur photography, just recently joined a dinosaur photography group on Facebook actually, and some of the stuff that they're bringing up is that they're doing on that page is absolutely beautiful. A couple of little articulation points in the tail, and the end of the tail here does have a wire in it, so it is bendable as well. It feels like it's got a wire. Yes, it does have a wire in it. There you go. Now, as you always know, I don't like to pose my Hammond collection too many times because the joints do get loose. It is a little bit of a downside to Hammond collection figures. The horns, of course, the famous for what Carnotaurus, or what they're famous for, is the only figure, or the only dinosaur to carnivorous theropod to actually have horns, but we'll get into that later. These beautiful glass eyes, I will do a little focus on that later. The four fingers, which is what Carnotaurus had as well. Paint apps are pretty cool. I do like this brown, and I do like the mottled design with that darker brown over the top. The toenails here are actually painted in, which is cool, and we have a nice little spray underneath of that tan inside the mouth, because we do get a lovely big selection of teeth there, and the inside palate, which is a nice detail from Hammond collection. Righty, okay. Let's have a bit of a chat about Carnotaurus. Carnotaurus means meat-eating bull. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it, when you break down the two words together? Sorry, I'm going to keep on posing him like this because he doesn't balance so well. Carnotaurus is a theropod carnivore from the late Cretaceous, about 72 to 69 million years ago. It was discovered in 1984 in Argentina. It's an Balisaurid, and it was basically there's only one fossil that has been found. That Carnotaurus is estimated to be about 8 meters long, so they never found the tail, and it weighed about 1.5 to 2 tons, so it was fairly lightweight. Carnotaurus had 2 horns above the eyes and this deep skull here, which was quite common with Balisaurids. It had very small forelimbs and quite slender legs, which isn't really portrayed overly well here with this figure. I think this is going to be more Jurassic Park stylized than the actual dinosaur itself, but you know, it gets close. Yes, I'll leave that in because that is kind of portraying the issue that I'm having with Carno here. Right, okay. Bloopers. Yeah, very small forelimbs, slender legs. Forelimbs were vestigial, which means that as the evolution was going on, the forelimbs lost their original function and basically become obsolete. The actual dinosaur itself would have had even smaller forelimbs than this. It would have almost been, I mean, you can see them here, but they would have been a lot smaller again. If Carnotaurus was actually to continue to evolve, the forelimbs could have actually possibly disappeared altogether, or they may have remained as, you know, tiny vestigial limbs, like the emu, which has those vestigial wings where they're kind of just more there for balancing as they turn corners. Carnotaurus was quite slightly built and was possibly a fast runner. It suggested that it could have actually been the fastest of all the large theropods. The debate on whether it fed on large or small prey is still continuing. This thing is being a little bit of a funny bugger, isn't he? I like to think it actually hunted small prey, and because it was fast and nimble, and it would have been better at hunting these smaller prey, where the heavier theropods would have been better suited to stalking and using their weight to drop the larger dinosaurs such as sauropods and that kind. You know, kind of more, I picture it more like lions and pumas today. They just use their weight to drop the heavier units. And Carnotaurus is quite unique, as it is the only carnivorous theropod with these horns. And you know, they could have been used for identity or for mate selection, with, you know, males combating with headbutts for dominance, but yeah, it's pretty unsure at the moment. Skin impressions were actually discovered with the holotype, or with the actual dinosaur that was found. And these skin impressions show small scales. When I say small, I mean 5 millimeters to 12 millimeters in diameter, so quite small compared to the actual dinosaur itself. And then lined, well, not actually lined, but along the sides of Carnotaurus were these, which is actually pictured here, but they're more in lines, were, you know, varied patterns, or no particular pattern is probably a better way of saying it, of bumps on the skin. They weren't osteoderms, they weren't bone, they were just like larger, thicker scales. There was no evidence of feathers in those skin impressions, so, you know, this leathery look Carnotaurus is probably going to be closest to what it actually looked like with regards to its skin. Carnotaurus was one of the largest belosaurids. Maybe a Crixionatosaurus was similar in size, but what we'll do is we'll grab Robert Muldoon out again just to give an idea on the size. We can kind of assume it's Carnotaurus' size based on Robert there. So pretty big unit. Slimmer in my opinion, but yeah, it's going to be a similar size. Quickly back to skin impressions. It's a little bit of trivia for you that Carnotaurus was actually the first dinosaur fossil to ever actually be discovered. It's done it again. To be discovered with skin impressions. So there you go. There's a bit of trivia for your trivia nights for you. Dinosaur trivia nights. Come on, Carno, stand up. There you go. Carnotaurus lived amongst coastal estuaries. Basically, they had dry and humid seasons, which is actually it's kind of like where I live now. There would have been snakes and fish and turtles, plesiosaurs, birds, crocodiles, and small mammals. And obviously a vast array of other dinosaurs, including sauropods and hadrosaurs and ankylosaurs and other theropods. What a time. I was actually lucky enough to see a skeleton fossil of Carnotaurus at an exhibition here in Perth. The Patagonian display toured locally. It was absolutely amazing. And if you do ever actually get a chance to see such an exhibition, jump at the opportunity. It's absolutely well worth it. That is all I have today for Carnotaurus. Be sure to check out my Dale's Dinosaurs playlist for more toy dinosaur reviews. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next week. You know what? And into the meantime, it doesn't matter what you collect, just enjoy collecting. This is Dale at the pool room. Until next time, take care.